Did you know that Trinidad is considered the land of the hummingbirds? Yeah, it is, and I'll tell you why. First, it has 18 different species of hummingbird in Trinidad, and it's also believed that the Amerindian name for Trinidad is the land of the hummingbirds. How cool is that? About 500 years ago, the Europeans tried to hunt the hummingbirds for their feathers and wear them as jewelry. And I think that's pretty wrong. But the act to save hummingbirds and protect hummingbirds only started in 1918. Some species were even extinct. They were hunted to extinction. And all we can hope for is that they're protected in the future now. Refreshing. And remember to stay hydrated. But you know what's also important? The thirst of animals. Some animals, like the hummingbird, can flap 20 beats per second. So it's great that we help them. And I have a fun project to do that. So here we have a variety of flowers that I think hummingbirds might like. And how I know this? It's because hummingbirds usually go for the colors of red, pink, and orange. Actually, first, before you put in the sugar, you should boil the water. But guys, still, always remember, when you're boiling the water, ask help from an adult. Then you have to let it cool. And then you put in the sugar.
All the sugar.
And you mix it all up. Make sure to stir good. As you can see, there's no more sugar particles, so it should be good. Always remember, 1 part sugar, 4 parts water. Second, how to open your hummingbird feeder. So now, there's the bottom part and the top part. So you might think that you actually have to open the bottom part, but it's actually easy. You have to open the top part. Now that we've got it all stirred up, how to open this. So you might think it's actually from the top, stirred open. Don't. It's actually from the bottom. See, it has a little valve here that you turn. I hear some birds. I hope they're hummingbirds. So now comes the tricky stage. We have to put all this water into this. So, here we go. Oh, it's pretty full actually. We need to put some water out. Anyway, now that we got that, we gotta make sure this is secure so it doesn't leak. So you gotta hold it carefully. Don't want to spill it. Some villagers call it the fountain of life because they claim that it can cure anything. Have you ever heard of the Brea Pitch Lake in Trinidad? It's actually a lake of natural asphalt, also known as tar, that they use in our roads. But did you know that there's a myth about this lake? By the way, it's 250 feet deep. It's pretty cool. So there's a tribe called the Chima Indians who lived in Trinidad, and they made a myth just to protect the hummingbirds from the Europeans and hunting. They said the hummingbirds were the souls of the ancestors, and that scared them away. But one day they defeated a tribe, and they were in triumph, and they really wanted to celebrate, but they had not hunted anything because they had to fight. So this is really sad, but they hunted the hummingbirds. And they stood for them, but they hunted them anyway. And the god was so mad. The gods were so mad, so he came down to earth and he opened up the Brea Pitch Lake and swallowed everything up, including them. And that taught them a lesson, I'm pretty sure. So guys, we finally got all the sugar water in here. Now, take some Vaseline or petroleum jelly, take a little bit, and we put it around the edges here. The reason why we're going to do this is to repel ants, because ants might go for the sugar water too. We don't want them to do that. This is for the hummingbirds. So, now that we got the petroleum jelly or Vaseline here, I think we're done. And I think we should hang it somewhere. Definitely. Remember how I told you about the story of the Pitch Lake? Well, I think it's time that we need to learn some history. So today, I have a special guest, a very special guest, my grandma.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.
Myself, my name is Parvati Ramsumair, nee Harry Paul. My grandfather the British brought my grandfather over and gave him that name. My grandfather came on the boat from India, northern India. He was born on the boat coming to Trinidad, Harry Paul, but it's really pronounced Hari Pa, meaning man of God. The British brought my grandfather over and gave him that name.
The tribes had it before, but I'm pretty sure somebody owned that land after it, and I'm pretty sure that you have a special connection to that place.
Yes, I do. Actually, he was born on the boat coming to Trinidad. And as a young man, he owned that land. And a lot of the land in that part of the South Trinidad. And there was a funny story about that it was considered their farmland. They had cows, they had animals that was grazed on that land. But, people at that time, that was so long ago, 100 and how much years ago, they didn't know what that was. They had the animals grazing there, and when the animals come home, on the hoofs we would have this black goo that was difficult for them to remove, and it was a hassle. The people find this is difficult to maintain. I don't want this land. This land is wasteland. It's no good. And my grandfather was so funny. He is the father of 9 children, and one of his daughters was getting married to a gentleman that they didn't really approve of. But eventually they get to like him. But at that point, you have to give a dowry. Do you know what a dowry is?
No, I don't.
You have to give land and animal for marrying somebody. The person's daughter gives that to the husband's family in exchange. So this land, this parcel of land, was given to him as a gift, as they're giving the daughter to that family, in a way to offload it, because it was no good. But then you see, he also was not very educated and was frustrated with that land as well. He did not know what to do with it, and by complaining and people hearing about it, talking about this black stuff and what is it, the government actually hear about it. They heard that there's something that's coming out from the ground and they don't know what it is, and eventually they send some chemists and scientists, and they tested it and they realized what it can do. And they realized this was the pitch from the Pitch Lake that serviced almost most of the world, roads and highways. So it's become a very big commodity, but too bad my grandfather and my uncle lost out on that. The government knew what it was, but my poor uncle didn't, and he sold the land for next to nothing. Because education. He had no education and did not know what that was. He just kind of gave the land away because it was a bother for the animals, and he just didn't know what to do. So there's a little history of that. And my grandfather, God bless his soul, he regretted after knowing what it was. And so did my uncle.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today and telling me that story. That's a very important part of history.
Thank you for having me. This was enjoyable.
No problem. Thank you, Grandma, for sharing a lot of this history that people might not have known about, but now they know. So
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hummingbirds drink a special type of nectar that's in a flower. But humans don't have the exact recipe for that. But you know that sugar is actually the closest thing to it. That's why we use sugar water. And it's the easiest thing to make, as you saw. There's a story, a really good story, traveled all the way from Peru up to North America for the Amerindians. So it's actually a pretty good story, and it teaches a lot. So the story is, one little hummingbird was trying to put out a fire because there was a giant forest fire in Peru and all the animals were fleeing, and he took little drops in his beak and tried to put the fire out. But all the animals were laughing because he said one little person can't do all that, and the others laughed too. But what you really should have done is helped him. That's what they should have done, helped him. Because in the coat of arms of Trinidad, it says, together we aspire, together we achieve. And even us, we can make a difference. Even though some of us are small, we can all make a difference, you know, by doing simple things, like cleaning up the beach, also picking up trash, and we gotta do all the stuff around here that we can to ensure our earth is healthy. Because if our earth is not healthy, then we're not healthy. But if our earth is healthy, then we're healthy. I hope you had as much fun learning with me as I had as much fun putting this together for you guys. This is Ari's world. And remember, one person can make a difference. Remember our jungle lesson. Also, remember the Trinidad coat of arms. Together we aspire, together we achieve. This is Ari's world. Remember, be brave and do your part to make this planet a better place.